My business coach goes, I finally figured you out and how you make decisions. You make them based on fear because you don't want to end up like your father. When I was 17 years old, my father went bankrupt. I went to college. He gave me $1,000 and he said, that's all I have. It taught me if it's meant to be, it's up to me.
If you had to leave both of your children with one really powerful message to carry forward, what would that message be, and why does it matter so deeply to you?
That's a big question.
So I want to go to kind of another chapter is college. So you have to work your way through college and you see an ad about, painting houses. And again, it's a pretty simple thing. You make some money in the summer. Tell us about how you answered that ad and what transpired over the years from you answering that ad and thinking big.
When I was 17 years old, my father went bankrupt, and it was sad watching. He was the man, small business guy. He was a man in my world, and had been successful, middle class family, living in a small town. And when I went to college, he gave me $1,000, and he said, "That's all I have." And you better get some work and figure this out, get some loans. And I would say that was the best gift my father ever gave me. It taught me if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And talk about resilience. My job at the time had been that of a swim instructor and lifeguard. It was pretty cushy. I liked it, and but it wasn't going to pay for college. So I went to the career center at my college in Canada and saw this sign. It said, "Earn $5,000 to $15,000 in the summer." I said, "I don't know what that is, but that's got to be me." And I need to make the money because I'm not dropping out of college because I can't afford it. So I signed up, and look. I'm a Jewish guy. I don't work with my hands, and painting homes. But I don't want to do that. And how do I learn? How do we figure out how much it costs to paint a home, and all the stuff going on with that? So the premise of the company was it taught college students that were entrepreneurial, very driven, how to run a business. Painting homes was just a vehicle to learn how to become an entrepreneur. And so I went through training. I learned how to estimate a house. I learned how to sell to the consumer. One of the owners of the company was a former sales leader at Xerox. So we learned the proper way to sell, the way that Xerox at one time, it's the best sales training program in the world. And we learned how to hire people, deal with customer problems, employee problems. And that first summer, it did $70,000 in revenue, which it doesn't sound like a lot, but I made $18,000. And going to school back then in 1985.
And I think the ads say you could make 5 to 15. So of course you had to make a little more.
That's right. Yep, I ended up being the top guy. And so I ended up making $18,000, and man, it was amazing. I learned if I work hard, I get paid well. If I work harder, I can make even more. And at 19 and 20 years old, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Next summer, I did $120,000 in revenue, made $35,000. I was going to school to become an accountant. So I don't need an accountant. I can hire one. I'm going to become an entrepreneur. And so that experience for me was a life-changing experience. And my friends that I went to college with did what I did. The reason I left Canada and went to California was I was going to open up student painters of California. And my best buddy from college, he went to Michigan and he did it in Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. And another buddy, he went down to Boston and did it. And another buddy went to Maryland to do it.
Wow. So you were basically helping other people start their own franchise, their own business. You were helping them make their own dreams come true by teaching them what you already figured out and were doing like 3 Sigma better than the normal person.
We became the top internship in California in 4 years. It was unbelievable. I remember setting up.
And you did it through colleges?
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine? First college I went to when I got there, I went to Pepperdine. I'd never seen a place so beautiful up on the hill, overlooking the ocean, all these beautiful people. And they had zero interest in painting. Oh, no. Where do you come from? I'm Canadian. I think you picked the wrong place. And then I remember setting up at USC.
But did you ever get into Pepperdine?
Oh, yeah, we got into Pepperdine. We hired some people out of Pepperdine. We weren't accepted real well there. But at USC, we became real popular.
Did it stop you, right? A no did not stop you, or you're crazy didn't stop you.
It did not. It did not. We learned that asking for permission and going through the normal challenges to set up a table or a booth out at the colleges was too much red tape. So I had a pretty girlfriend at the time. She was blonde and beautiful, and she would work the booth, and we didn't ask for permission. We just set booths up at USC, UCLA, Cal Poly.
Was this like a job day or something, or
no? Any day that ended in day was a day that I could set up my, and we set up a schedule, and we would get kicked off campus from time to time. It was fine. We got over it, and but we had a rotation going. It was amazing. Over 4 years, we had 250. I'll call them franchisees. They were more like franchisees. 3,000 total painters. Imagine the size of an employer of that. Painting homes. We became the largest paint contractor in California in 4 years.
Wow. And like a lot of entrepreneurs I've talked to, we believe in this concept that wealth is more than money, but it doesn't seem that money was really a driver for you as a serial entrepreneur. I mean, obviously it's the bottom line, but what's your relationship with money, and how has it changed over time?
That's an interesting question. I don't know that your statement clearly reflects how I felt early on, because I remember my dad went bankrupt.
Right.
I had a fear.
That's an emotional wound.
Yeah. It was my business coach, who's my coach for a long time. And you know him, Charlie. It was Richard Carr. For 10 years was my coach.
West Pointer, colonel in the Army.
He was tough, but I needed tough. But he said to me one day, it was very profound. He goes, I finally figured you out and how you make decisions. You make them based on fear because you don't want to end up like your father. And so when I was going broke in 1998 through 2000, it was a really tough time for me thinking about what the other side of that might look like. So initially it was like a lot of youngsters, right? It's financial security. It would be one. I like to win. So it was fun to win while making money and feel like I was doing something that made a difference and was purposeful. So if you go back to the student painter business, it taught hungry college students, and our best ones were like these farm kids that knew how to work hard, aspired to learn to have their own business, and knew that if they work hard, they could make money. Those were our absolute best. If you grew up in a very wealthy family, your probability of winning here was much lower than if you grew up on a farm.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. You know how to work hard. But I want to go back to, if my memory serves me, you're going into this painting business, and your father, who you mentioned, thought you were absolutely nuts. But then later in life, or later, he wrote you a really nice letter telling you how proud he was of you. And how did that make you feel? And what's it like to like do things when your parents, who you love and admire, tell you you're nuts and you shouldn't do something, but you do it anyways?
Well, you open up another story that you don't know about,
Okay.
which is my father told me when I left for California that it wouldn't work and I would be back. When I failed my state contractor's license test, um, and then I'd already hired 33 entrepreneurial college students. I'd already had them going through training and they were getting ready to start. Some of them were already selling work. I don't have a friggin' license. They can't operate without a license. I can't get insurance or workers' compensation um, if I don't have a license. I can't get bonded. I'm going, holy shit. I appealed. They turned down my appeal. I appealed again. They turned down my appeal. So what do? You're 23 years old. You're about to pack up and head back to Canada, just like your dad said. You'll be back. You go to Congress. So I went to Congress. I went to my congressman and I said, here's my story. I'm this Canadian. I came here, told him the story, told him about my dad's bankruptcy, told my dad said that I would be back. I don't want to go back. I like it here. And I've hired all these people. They're counting on me, and I don't want to let them down. And I'm gonna be a strong employer for California. And I know you can help me. You got power. You could probably do something.
But Mark, it's not easy to get to a congressman. How did you even get in front of a congressman at your age?
You just pick up the phone and call.
That's great.
And you don't get him.
Right.
I didn't get him till much later,
Right.
when it was donation time. But his staff had done all the work. They arranged for me to go to Sacramento, my own private test up there at the Capitol. I didn't have to be in a room with 500 people, and I was told, just don't screw it up this time. You better get it right. You're not going to get another crack at it. I was so nervous. And I passed the test. When I became an American citizen years later, I became a donor of this congressman. The guy's name was Ed Royce. And when I became a citizen, he actually came to the house to present me with the flag.
Wow. That's awesome. You didn't quit. You never gave up. You got the business off the ground. At what point did you get that letter from your dad?
Oh, man. I had letters over the years
Right.
from my dad. The most impactful letter, Charlie, that I received was recently, and he didn't give it to me. My mom did. My dad is 94. His dementia is really bad. And even though he's happy and super pleasant, he recognizes a familiar face but doesn't know who I am. Um, he had written a letter to his three kids, and my mom found it and gave it to us about a year ago. And it was really, really powerful and quite emotional. And it was crazy because it was like supposed to be found after he passed away. And he was a simple man. He had three fishing rods, one for each of his three sons. He had three watches, one for each of his three sons. He had a snowblower that didn't even work anymore, and he gave that to one of his sons. But he expressed to all three of us how proud he was at what we have all achieved.
Wow, that's so beautiful, Mark. My father died suddenly at the age of 62, just like heart attack, and I've outlived him now. But there's four of us, and two of my younger siblings had issues and they didn't have closure, and it really affected them. So, I just came back with my 26-year-old daughter from India, and I took the time to write her a 4-page letter while I'm alive about how proud I am of her, who she's become, who I feel she's, and just that unconditional love is like a wind at our kids' sails if they know that, especially once they become adults, it's a different type of relationship. And I was so proud of you and Darian at your conference because I'd asked you how you're going to go open. You have these crazy opens, and to have her on stage to me was so powerful. How did that make you feel? That was really really cool.
Yeah, thank you. That was a later decision that we made, and we had talked about what would be an impactful opening, and it's risky putting one of your kids on stage at an event, 500 CEOs, and we felt it tied together well because she was an employee at one of our longtime clients. So it like the story all fit, and it made me feel amazing because I was super proud of her, and she was super proud of herself, which made me feel even better. That I remember when she was younger, and we used to do these YPO father-daughter events.
Right.
She was 6, 7, 8 years old, and I said, "Hey, we're doing this together. You're going to introduce the event today." "Oh no, I'm not." And "Oh yeah, these are your guests." And but to watch how she's developed. It made me feel super super proud.
Well, she was very graceful. Just her presence she exuded that charisma. But if you had to leave both of your children with one really powerful message to carry forward to their children, your grandchildren, what would that message be, and why does it matter so deeply to you?
That's a big, big question. Um,
And I'll start with what I would like my children to remember, and that is that the world is not coming at you. The world is coming from within you. You're not a victim. And all these stories, the universe places these obstacles in front of you to teach you something. And it's not what happens, it's how you respond to it. We're not victims, we're powerful. And I want them to learn when something happens in their life that they're not happy with or it's a setback to think, what is it about me that brought this on? And if I can't figure that out, then what is it about the universe that it's trying to put me through this very kind of painful situation so that I can learn something? And I also tell them, I don't believe in failure. If you can name one thing that you've learned, it's not failure, it's a teaching lesson. So the world is not coming at you, it's coming from within you. And if they can remember that one thing, I mean, it took me over 50 years of hard knocks to learn. So what would you say would yours be?
I'm not going to give you one because I think that's unfair, especially with no time to think about it and narrow it down. So I'll give you a few.
Good, good. A
So
few is better.
I just said this morning to my son. I said the first half, and he repeated the second half. He's being a little grumpy this morning, and it was, "If it's meant to be," and he said, "It's up to me." And I embody that. I've said to my kids their whole life that my job here is to create kids that can fend for themselves and be resilient out there. I've also learned that if you don't like your situation, you have two choices: either change your situation or change the lens as to which you look at that situation. I've also learned that nothing ever great was achieved without adversity and the desire to march on. You are the average of your 5 closest friends. So take a good look at you are who you hang with. So if you don't like what that looks like, you get to choose. If you're the smartest person in the room, go find a new room. And so those are a few of the thoughts. And of course,
Tell me more about, Mark, the changing of the lens. Can you give context to that? Because that's super powerful, but I think it may go over people's head if you don't.
Well, let me come back to that, because we talk about that at home all the time. It's so you had a bad day or a conflict with friend or maybe somebody you work with, and it's so dramatic, it's so emotional, and sometimes people make some extreme statements, and I want to reflect back. So you don't like your job? Okay. Well, you got 2 choices: change your situation, quit, go find another job. It's in your control. Or change the lens as to what you look at it from. So, okay, it's not that I don't like my whole job. I just didn't like this piece of my job. But yet I'm 24 years old. I'm learning a ton, and get over it. Focus on what I do have control over versus what I don't. And so I think people can get so wired up but they could just change the way they look at a situation.